Hi guys, how are you doing? This is Sebastian from techcentury and welcome to my new video in the series What to Buy. So today we're going to take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of the 2014 MacBook Air as well as the regular MacBook Pro 13-inch. So let's get started after the intro. Now before we actually start off with the comparison, of course the price is a very important aspect, and as of filming this video the regular MacBook Pro 13-inch comes in at $1,199 US. Now there's only one configuration available and that's the price for it, and the 2014 MacBook Air in the cheapest 13-inch configuration comes in at $999, so $200 difference right there, which is definitely important for a lot of people. Now if you want to go out and purchase either of these machines, make sure to not pay the full price. So for once, for example, you can purchase the MacBooks also from Amazon, where maybe you don't have to pay sales tax in the US, or also you can get an educational discount from Apple themselves. So if you're, for example, at a university or college, you can get a discount of around 7%, which is definitely nice, especially considering the high price of these notebooks. But now let's start off with the comparison and we'll take a look at the 13-inch regular MacBook Pro first. Now this is actually the only size that's left in Apple product lineup. So the 15-inch as well as also the 17-inch version were discontinued, and it's not quite sure how long the 13-inch will actually be offered by Apple, and it could be axed any day now. So the 13-inch version of the regular MacBook Pro has a couple of advantages that make it a better choice than the MacBook Air. Now first off, we get just regular notebook processors. Now the one that you actually find in the regular MacBook Pro 13-inch currently is an Intel Core i5 clocked at 2.5 GHz. Now what do I mean by regular notebook processors? Well, that's just that we find ultra low voltage processors in the MacBook Airs that are slightly slower. So that's definitely a performance advantage here on the regular MacBook Pro. But then again, we also have to consider that there's actually not the latest generation of Intel chips here in these regular MacBook Pros. So we only have the Intel HD 4000 integrated graphics that can compete with the HD 5000 that we actually find in the MacBook Airs. On top of the better processor speed, we actually also have more storage because we get a 500 GB hard drive. Now this is an advantage and also a disadvantage. Of course, an advantage for those who have a lot of media, for example like movies, photos, and of course also music. But of course it's also a disadvantage because the regular hard drive isn't as fast as the SSD or the flash storage that's found in the MacBook Air. Now the next pro for the regular MacBook Pro is the DVD drive. Now a lot of people will say, well, optical media is dead, especially in 2014. But some people still really like DVD drives, and it's integrated here on the regular MacBook Pro. And of course this is perfect if you have, for example, like a large DVD library, or if you just want to import CDs, then this is the perfect choice for you. But of course you can also just hook up, for example, a USB drive to the MacBook Air. Now on top of the DVD drive we also have more ports. So we have, for example, have an Ethernet port integrated. This actually only works on the MacBook Air if you buy a separate adapter that's like $30. And also we will find, for example, a battery charge indicator which comes in handy, and we also have an IR receiver. So for example, if you want to have a presentation, you can just buy this small aluminum remote from Apple to hold your presentation, and it's definitely a more comfortable solution than if you have to download the app to your smartphone, because a physical remote is definitely nicer for presentations. So those are just a couple of like small features that you have to consider. If you don't care about them, then that's fine, but if you care about them, then it's a big advantage for the regular MacBook Pro, because all of these features were stripped off in the MacBook Air. Now the biggest pro for the regular MacBook Pro without any doubt in my opinion is the upgradability. First off, you can upgrade the RAM, so that's definitely nice to see. So for example, you can upgrade it to 16 GB, which is quite insane and definitely amazing on a notebook. Or also you could, for example, replace the DVD drive with another hard drive, or you could just swap the regular hard drive for an SSD or for an even bigger hard drive. So you're very flexible after your purchase. You can upgrade the RAM, you can swap the DVD drive for an SSD, you can even also swap the regular hard drive for an SSD, and then you can run SSDs in a RAID array, so that's incredibly fast. But my point is just that you're very flexible and that you can do a lot to speed up the machine after your purchase, which isn't possible on the MacBook Air. But now we get to the cons of the regular MacBook Pro, and it's a lot heavier at 2.06 kilograms compared to the MacBook Air and of course also compared to the regular MacBook Pro. In addition to that, we have a quite low screen resolution of 1280x800. Now the screen resolution on the regular MacBook Pro actually hasn't changed in the last like 10 years. I actually bought a MacBook, which was still called the MacBook, the aluminum MacBook, back in 2008, and it had the same screen resolution. And nowadays a lot of people even have 1080p smartphones, so 1280x800 resolution is just completely out of date and definitely a big downfall of the regular MacBook Pro. On top of the pretty bad screen resolution, it's also quite reflective. So because we have a glass layer on top of this display, it's a lot more reflective than the display on the MacBook Air. So that's also something that you have to consider, especially if you want to use the machine outdoors. Another con for the regular MacBook Pro is the battery life. Now Apple says the machine can get up to 7 hours of battery life, which definitely isn't bad, especially also compared to other notebooks. But compared to the MacBook Air, this just can't keep up. And so the battery life has to be a con in this direct comparison right here. And also in addition to that, of course, the higher price, $200 premium is hard to justify here for the regular MacBook Pro. But then again, you might be able to purchase a very cheap refurbished unit or also just find a good deal on clearance somewhere or just buy the machine secondhand for a very good price. Next up, we're going to take a look at the advantages of the MacBook Air, and of course the big advantage right here is the weight of 1.35 kilograms. It's just incredibly light and portable, and of course this combined with a battery life of around 12 hours is absolutely insane. And this is certainly a machine, for example, if you go to university, that can last you all day. So if you want ultimate portability, then the MacBook Air is the perfect choice. Other pros for the MacBook Air are that we have a higher screen resolution of 1440x900. Now again, this isn't really an amazing screen resolution for a notebook in 2014, especially if you have other notebooks like the Retina MacBook Pro already. But then again, it's better than the resolution that we'll find on the regular MacBook Pro, and in this direct comparison it definitely has to be an advantage. Last but certainly not least is the SSD or flash storage. Now unfortunately we only get 128GB here on the base configuration, but still with speeds of around 600 or 700 megabits, this is just incredibly fast compared to a regular hard drive, and just overall everyday computing gets a lot faster, apps open quicker, files save faster, and on everyday performance the SSD actually has a bigger impact than a faster processor or also a better graphics card. Now the cons of the MacBook Air are pretty obvious. First off, we don't have a disk drive included, so if that's something that you need, you're out of luck here. But then again, you can just purchase a USB disk drive. You don't have to purchase the official one from Apple. You can just go on Amazon and there are a lot of customer reviews of DVD drives that work with the MacBook. On top of that, you sacrifice some features like the Ethernet port, which you can then get, for example, a USB adapter for, or also the battery life indicator, as well as the infrared port. And of course, last but certainly not least, you can't upgrade the machine after the purchase. So what I always recommend is get the most RAM that you can. So 8GB is definitely a good way to start, but I wouldn't buy a machine now with 4GB of RAM because you can't upgrade it after purchase because it's actually soldered to the motherboard. So there's no way of changing this after you purchase, and 8GB is just future proof, also for future operating systems that might have higher requirements. So I would definitely recommend to get the 8GB. Also, the storage is something that you have to consider. 128GB really isn't a lot, especially if some of that gets taken up by the operating system. So in the end, you might only have like 115GB, which just isn't a lot. I have a 128GB MacBook Pro and it's just not enough at all. So I wish I would have gone for the higher configuration with 256GB. Of course, it's a lot more expensive, but then again, it really sucks if you run out of storage. Of course, you can buy, for example, like a 1TB external hard drive, but then also you have a lot more clutter and a lot more stuff to carry around. So I would probably recommend to go for the 256GB version if you can afford that. So those are my advantages and disadvantages of the 2014 MacBook Air and regular MacBook Pro. Now, of course, this video is very general, but I still hope that the information helped you out. And I know that buying a notebook, especially with such a high price, is a very personal decision. So if you want to have some help or advice with it, just let me know down in the comment section below. So just describe what situation you're in, what machines you think about buying, and also what requirements do you have. So for example, if you are a student or if you want to have the notebook for work, and I'll definitely try my best to help you out so that we find the best solution for you. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to also hit the like button, and I really hope to see you next time. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to subscribe to the channel, make sure to click the annotation next to this video, or also click next or previous to check out another video of ours. Thanks for watching. See you next time.